It is Monday, the week that the boys return to training. It is going to be a big preseason. Let's get into it. Before we get into it, if you're new here, thank you so much for joining me. It is going to be an absolutely incredible year for not only me, but for the Pies. I can absolutely feel it. If you are a returning swooper, thank you so much for joining me. If you are new, hit that subscribe button. We're going to send it to the moon. I hate that saying, but I kind of like it as well this season. But in this video, we're going to be talking about my 2025 predictions. I'll give you the players that are rising, that are falling, how are we for the Premiership, all this other stuff in between. So then by the end of the year, we'll come back, have a look at this, and we can all laugh at how bad I am. This will kick off a series of prediction videos. I'm going to be doing a full AFL ladder prediction as well. And then we'll do another one that's like awards and all that sort of sweet stuff. Now, let's get into it. So we're going to start off with who I think will be rising in 2025. Now, it's no surprise who I think will be rising this year because I've been talking about them a lot. I've got Reef McGuinness. Now, this will probably all come back to bite me on the ass if he gets dropped after round 0 or he just doesn't have a good defensive bone in his body. But from what I'm seeing in preseason, and I've been to 12 or something training sessions, he just looks absolutely incredible and ready to go. And I don't say that lightly, but I think he is really ready to go. So we'll see where that goes. But he's rising this year, and I know he was out of contract until one of the last days of the off season, but this is his last roll of the dice. And when you're on the proverbial AFL death's door, quote unquote, you're going to give it your absolute all. When your back is against the wall, you're giving it your absolute all. The next guy here, I've got Ed Allen. Now, I've got big raps on Ed Allen. The club have got big raps on Ed Allen. I think he goes above and beyond this season. I've got him in the best 23 by the end of the year. The last guy I've got here, and you'll notice that they're all young guys, of course. I've got Will Parker. Now, Will Parker, I wasn't a fan of him at the start, right? I wasn't a fan of him. I thought he was just not up to AFL standards when he played that game in Fremantle. And then, he was coming on as a sub a couple of times, and I just really couldn't see what they were seeing in him. But then he played that last game against Melbourne, and that was Ed Allen's breakout game as well. And now seeing him in preseason training last year, he looks like he's put on a little bit more muscle. He's quick. He's going for that sort of half-backy sort of role. I know that we're, there are a dime a dozen halfbacks at the Pies at the moment. But I think he could be a bit of a surprise pack. I don't think he's best 23 by the end of the year, but I think, especially in the VFL, we just see him go to just another place and take his game further. Because remember, he hasn't had a full preseason with us just yet because he was that Cat B rookie from cricket. He was touted as a top 20 pick, I'm pretty sure. So they do have big raps on him. And now I can kind of see why they did. And it was very unjust of me to sort of not really back him in when he was playing. I just wasn't seeing enough. But now I'm seeing a lot, and I really like what I'm seeing. So I think Will Parker is just going to be that next guy up. Now, my falling players for this year. You'll notice that the rising are young guys, obviously, and the falling are older guys. I've got Premiership hero Billy Frampton as my guy that's falling. I think Billy Frampton will be used. I really wanted him converted as a key forward. I thought that would have been really good, but then we picked up Tim Membry, so we didn't really need that, right? I think Billy Frampton, I reckon Reef McGuinness goes ahead of Billy Frampton, and Frampton only gets picked when we need that big key forward to play on like Jesse Hogan or to play on Curnow or King or someone like that. And I think, everyone has a role and you have to be ready to get called up for your role. I just can't see Billy Frampton keeping his place in the best 23 every single week, especially when we're not really playing that big key defender that much anymore, unless, again, we're playing on the big key forward. So I'd see Billy Frampton's stocks just lowering a little bit this year. The other guy I've got here is Mason Cox. Now, there's a time and place for Mason Cox. I love Coxie. One of my favorite players, the way he goes about it, that mongrel, we love that at the Pies. But with Tim Membry coming in, Darcy Cameron dominating the ruck, I feel like Ilaro Smith might sort of debut later on in the season. It's just picking and choosing what is Mason Cox's best position and if we can utilize him. I do think we're a better team with Mason Cox in the side. Remember that this is his last contracted year as well. So he probably is retiring at the end of the year. Does he play every single game? I really don't think he does. It's kind of like on a Billy Frampton. It's a need. It's a need to play basis, and I just don't think he's there every single game. But on the flip side, I do think that he is. He does make us better. So I just have him falling just because, yeah, I just don't see him playing every single game and just getting that momentum that he needs. The last guy I've got here hurts me to say is Oleg Markov. I only put Oleg in here. One, obviously got dropped, gets picked up as a rookie. Two, like I said with Will Parker, halfbacks are a dime a dozen. If we don't pick up Dan Houston, Oleg Markov is just every single game, he's off that halfback line and just absolutely smashing it because John Noble's not there. Can you play Markov and Houston and Quaynor in the same team? I don't think so. What I would like for Markov this year, though, maybe he is that sort of super sub where we get him on because he has that pace. And when we need to inject that pace in the third quarter or, halfway through the third or something like that, we can use him. So maybe we sort of use him as a super sub. I just have him in falling because I just don't see him getting consistent games into the team. And that's with all of these players. And I know they're all Premiership stars. I get that. But that's who I've got as falling. Now, wins and losses. So we had a bad season last season, right? We had 12 wins and 2 draws and everything else was losses. Now, I've got us sitting with 15 to 17 wins. 17 wins is on the higher end. It'd be sort of rare that that's what happens. Sydney had 17 wins to win the minor premiership. 15 wins gets you into the top 4 last season. GWS had 15 wins. Geelong had 15 wins as well. To get into the top 8, you need at least 13 to 14 wins. Carlton were in the top 8 with 13 wins, and I think last year Craig McRae was saying that 14 wins is what we were aiming for. We ended up with 12. You convert those 2 draws, that's 14 wins. You play finals, right? So I've got us 15 to 17 wins because it ties in with my ladder position, which I have us anywhere between 2nd and 6th. Now, I've been a huge sort of believer these last couple of months that we will be finishing in the top 4, 2nd to 3rd. 3rd is a bit of a no man's land. You don't want to finish 3rd. So I think 2nd is where, obviously, the aim, right? Because you get that home final. 3rd is okay if you're playing Geelong at home. They finish 2nd and Collingwood finish 3rd. Perfect, right? But I think 2nd to 6th is that sort of bracket that we're sitting at. You got to remember that we are pretty much the Premiership team from 2023, 2 more years into Nick Daicos. You're adding Dan Houston into the side. You're adding Harry Perryman into the side, who is just going to be that Swiss Army knife. So I think Will Hoskin-Elliott, a younger Will Hoskin-Elliott. You're adding Tim Membry, who is going to be great in goals when he does get a game. Again, I don't think he plays every single game this season. And then you've got a fit and firing McStay and Mychek finally, right? So I think 3rd to 6th is realistic. You want that top 4 spot, but Brisbane proved last season that you can win it from outside the top 8. And I think if any team will win it from outside the top 8, I think we do have those credentials to go that one further. Now, can we win the Premiership? That's the big question. At the moment, booking companies have us sitting $10 if you're a betting person. Brisbane are favourites at $7.50 to go back to back. That's where we were sort of sitting at the start of last season as well. Last season was very open. Was anybody's to win. Was anybody's to win. Very close season. This season, I think, is going to separate a little bit, just a tiny bit, but it's still going to be pretty close. Can we win the flag? Look, I'm going to sit here and say, yes, we can win the flag, right? My head and my heart are saying we can win the flag. Will we win the flag? Who really knows? But the feeling that I've got here in my gut, and I've told any Collingwood supporter that's come up to me, I was telling everybody I was at Let Them Eat Cake on New Year's Day, and people were coming up to chat to me. They're like, oh, what do you think we're going to think? I'm saying, look, man, this feeling that I'm getting is the same feeling that I got in the preseason of 2022, leading into the 2023 season, where I just felt like it was going to be a good year. And that's what I'm feeling again. So I feel like we can win the Premiership. There's a lot of water to go under the bridge. There's 9 months between now and the flag. So anything can happen. If we stay clean, if we stay fit, if we stay healthy, I know we have the credentials to go on and win the flag. My best and fairest top three. Now, look, I can't sit here and say Nick Daicos won't win the best and fairest. I think he's going to go back to back. He's just, he'd probably win the Brownlow as well. We'll leave that for the other prediction video. My best and fairest top three, I've got Nick Daicos at first. I've got Jordan De Goey going second. Now, very rare for Jordan De Goey to finish in the top three, but if during this preseason, when he comes back, he should be back on Thursday with the full squad. If he can have a clean bill of health this preseason, we need Jordan De Goey firing, right? I've said it multiple times. His ability to break packs in the center, go forward if we really need him to, and be dynamic up there. We saw in the Adelaide game, he kicked that winner. If he can get his groin and his, what was it? His groin and his, no, it wasn't his hamstring, was it? I know it definitely was the groin though, but if he can get those injuries right, those soft tissue injuries, he's got to go a long way. And I think a top three finish, he's begging for a top three finish, and I think he gets it. And rounding out the top three, I've got Braden Maynard, because I believe that our defense is going to come under a lot of pressure, and Maynard is going to be that guy. He's going to refine his form from 2023. A lot of our defenders dropped off in 2024. Q, Nathan Murphy, Jeremy Howe, Maynard, they all pretty much dropped off. John Noble was probably the exception, who went above and beyond because of the 2023 heartbreak. You probably a smoky for the top three could be Dan Houston, and I think Scott Pendlebury finishes top five as well. Second to last is my leading goal kicker. Now, Bobby won the leading goal kicker award last season with 30, so that wasn't including finals. The previous 5 were won by Brody Mychek, who didn't kick over 48 goals. I think Dan McStay wins the leading goal kicker, the Gordon Coventry Award this season, and Dan McStay, remember when he came back in 2023, I think it was around 16 or 17, he was averaging, I think, about 2 goals a game. And then obviously he gets injured in that GWS game, doesn't play the grand final. Without Dan McStay, we don't make the grand final, right? I think he's going to be instrumental. I don't think he's going to average 2 goals a game this season, but I think with 40 plus goals, I reckon about 40 to 45 goals wins the goal kicking. You got to think that Tim Murray's going to be taking goals off him. Cox, Jamie Elliott, Brody Mychek, Bobby Hill, right? That's fine. I'd rather all of our forwards kick 30 goals each than have one forward kick 70 goals, because just who our midfielders are kicking to, easier to defend, that sort of thing. But I think the leading goal kicker gets one between 40 and 45 goals. I would love to say that we finally have a player kick over 50 goals. That hasn't happened since 2013 when Travis Cloak kicked 68. So I don't think a 50-plus goal season happens. I would love it to, but Dan McStay is the man. He's the leading guy in that sort of that trident, that 3-point trident Collingwood attack. Now, my last one is a surprise packet. Who is going to surprise us this season? So, as my sort of senior player, the surprise packet I think will be Harry Perryman. I've said he's going to be a steal in the draft. He's going to be a steal in free agency. And I know, Luke, steal, but he was 900,000, or you're paying him 900, close to $1 million. Okay, I don't care, brother. I honestly don't care, right? I still think he is a steal, because I think he's going to be just that's like I said, that Swiss Army knife role, and he's going to exceed expectations. He's going for more of that midfield role. He probably switches to a halfback maybe, but predominantly in the midfield. And we know with Tom Mitchell out a little bit, we don't really know what's going on. Chris will probably transition between midfield and halfback. So that's going to be interesting, but I think Harry Perryman will be one of the surprise packets. With the younger kids, I feel like we haven't seen a lot of him this preseason because of a thumb injury. But Joel Cochran is going to be the out of the draftees. I think he's going to be the surprise packet. Extremely quick for his height. Learning off Darcy Moore, learning off Nathan Murphy is giving him one-on-one lessons. So I think Joel Cochran is going to be the surprise packet out of those draftees. I hope we see him smash in the VFL and debut later on in the season. If Reef McGuinness is having a bad day, or Charlie Dean, or Jeremy Howe, or Billy Frampton, Cochran could be that sort of next one in. So I think, I'll go Cochran and maybe winning the best first year player award as well. But those are my predictions. I'll leave the categories in the information down below. So just copy that, put it in the comments, and let me know your predictions. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, double shackers, I'll swoop you later.